Did you see that? I just drove between the legs of a dinosaur. Reason number 362 that Mario Kart Double Dash is better than Mario Kart 64. That's right, I said it. This underrated and over-criticized Mario Kart is better than the one preceding it. The controls are tighter, the courses are better, and most importantly, the fun is exponentially higher. And if taking a go-kart between the kneecaps of a sauropod doesn't convince you, well, pull up a Koopa shell and lend an ear. Released to the GameCube in 2003, Mario Kart Double Dash came off the starting line 6 years after Mario Kart 64, and it brought a heavily tweaked engine with it. Now, such long waits, combined with drastic changes, often constitutes a formula for contention among gaming circles, but initially the critical response was stellar. Double Dash was given perfect scores by G4, GamePro, Nintendo Power. It's mostly in hindsight that people have taken issue with Mario Kart's GameCube Grand Prix. Again, mostly. To be fair, some critics were as wrong about Double Dash in 2003 as its naysayers remain nearly a decade later. If you've raced through the Mushroom Kingdom before, the core principles of Double Dash should be instantly familiar. Playing as some of the most beloved characters in video games, you race on a series of outrageously designed tracks in go-karts, using items like turtle shells and banana peels to gain the advantage on your opponents. There are 3 speeds to choose from, 4 cups to win. It's a very familiar blueprint that's inspired both sequels and imitators, and that's because it works. In those respects, it's business as usual for Mario Kart on the GameCube. It just takes care of that business a whole lot better. Now, the mechanics in Kyoto started with the alignment. Double Dash replaces the loose steering that deflated the tires of Mario Kart 64 with a seriously tweaked control system, enabling a far smoother driving experience than was possible in the latter. The vehicles are more responsive than ever, and in particular, drifting around corners had never been tighter in a Mario Kart game. Of course, the game's most noticeable shift of the Mario Kart gears deals with the concept of passengers. As the subtitle and its improper use of punctuation alludes to, Double Dash increases the weight limit of Mushroom Kingdom vehicles to allow 2 characters per go-kart. This is more than just some arbitrary change. It actually adds a degree of management to Mario Kart's traditional focus on items. Now, there are 2 aspects to this. First, one character drives the cart, while the other rides on the back, and you can swap between them on the fly. Second, the items you pick up are actually handled by the character riding shotgun. For example, that means you can actually save a red shell for later use simply by swapping between the characters. And for a series that emphasizes item use, that's a welcome improvement. And speaking of improvements, Double Dash also has an edge in terms of its tracks. Now, this is largely subjective, but I think Mario Kart course design evolved for the better in Double Dash. They may feature less strategic shortcuts, but after racing through DK Mountain, Wario Coliseum, and the spectacular Rainbow Road, it's difficult to argue the outrageous topography and radical twists and turns of Double Dash haven't made Mario Kart a more entertaining game to play. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. The changes in Double Dash are more important than just adding a passenger or making the courses steep and adding special items for each character. It's about a fundamental change in philosophy. What was hinted at in Mario Kart 64 was solidified by its GameCube predecessor, the game that finalized the evolution of Mario Kart from a deceptively deep racer to a decidedly less deep multiplayer game. And if you're okay with that, Mario Kart Double Dash will double more than just your exclamation points. Like a pair of attractive twins, it'll also double your fun.